Many years ago, in the beautiful town of Kwahu, there lived a humble and hardworking man whose name was Kwame. Kwame was the type of man that every woman prayed for. He was not just handsome, he was peaceful, loyal, responsible, and had sense. He loved his wife, Afia, so much that even his friends used to tease him and say, Kwame, you are a woman rapper. Oh. Are you not tired of all this love? But Kwame would just simply smile and reply and say, when you marry the right woman, peace becomes your portion. Kwame and Afia got married when they were both still young, and they were blessed with two handsome sons named Kobe and Kwesi. Their home was filled with joy. Every evening, Afia would cook, and Kwame would help the children with their homework. And after dinner, they would all sit in the compound to gist and laugh and bond as a family. Kwame had come from a very poor background. He lost his parents very early and so struggled through life. So immediately he started making money. He made up his mind though that his children would never have to suffer the way he did. He worked in a construction company in Accra, but he did not waste time like some of his friends. Kwame was always saving, always buying land, building houses, and investing in businesses, while others were busy chasing flashy cars. Kwame was buying plots of land in Kumasi, Takoradi, and even some quiet corners of the eastern region. Afia, he would always say, I want to retire early, so let me hustle now, oh, so that you and the boys would not have to worry later in life. And his wife, Afia, supported him fully. She never complained that he wasn't taking her to any of these fancy restaurants or that he did not buy her expensive things or the rest, because she understood the bigger picture. So every weekend, she would follow him to one side or the other. Sometimes she would even help supervise the workers when he was busy. Let us build for our children, she would say proudly. And build they did. Because in just a few years of marriage, Kwame had already completed 3 houses, bought several plots of land, and even registered a transport company. He had also bought shares in several companies. Everything that Kwame did was in Afia's name or in a trust for his two sons. The future was already looking bright. He had already opened two savings accounts, one for Kobe and one for Kwesi. He also had life insurance and had even started writing his will. So anytime he talked about the future, he would always say proudly, even if I leave this world tomorrow, I am sure that my family will not lack. My family will be well taken care of. Kwame would say. So life was going on well for the Mensah family. Everything was just fine. Their children were doing well in school, and Afia had even started a catering business from home. And Kwame was preparing to retire at age 45. But then one Saturday morning, something strange happened. Kwame woke up with a mild headache and he told Afia, I think it's probably stress from the site yesterday. I just need to rest. Kwame said, and Afia gave him warm water and paracetamol and told him to lie down. But by afternoon, Kwame had started vomiting and sweating. Ah, let me take you to the hospital. This is looking serious. Afia said, looking worried. But Kwame refused. I don't think it's anything serious, Jerry. Maybe something I ate. I just think I need to rest. I'll be fine. Kwame replied. But by that evening, his condition had gotten worse. He became very weak and started shaking. So Afia rushed him to the clinic nearby. They ran all sorts of tests, put him on drip, and told her, madam, this one is serious, so maybe you would need to move him to a teaching hospital. The doctor said. Afia was so scared. But before she could finish arranging an ambulance that would carry her husband to a teaching hospital, Kwame had gone unconscious. She screamed, my husband, wake up, please don't do this to me. Kwame, Kwame. Afia screamed in fear. The nurses had to hold her and the doctors had to rush him into emergency care. Afia sat in the waiting room praying, God please, Please don't take this husband away from me. My husband is so good. Please help him. Do not let him die. Afia said, wailing and crying. And after several hours, the doctor came out, and she could tell from the look on his face that everything was not okay. Madam, I'm very sorry. We tried our best, but he did not make it, the doctor said. And by this time, Afia fell to the floor. She could not breathe. She screamed, she cried, till she fainted. She had lost her husband just like that. And that day, everything changed. Afia had become a widow. Afia was very sad. She was broken for many months, and she mourned her husband deeply. But a few months and years later, she had to snap out of it. She made sure to protect all the assets that her husband had suffered to gather. She maintained the houses, renewed the papers, paid the children's school fees, and she would usually take upkeep money from the money she made from her business. She did not want to touch any of the investments that her late husband had made for her sons, as she wanted to hand it over to them by the time they turned 21 years old, so that they would not start from scratch, which was what their father wanted. She was now both mother and father to her sons. She did not touch any money at all. She did not sell any of the landed properties. She kept on saying, these are for my sons, and I would keep it safe till they become of age. Some people even praised her, telling her that she was a good woman and that her late husband would be proud of her. But a few years later, and people had started advising her, Afia, you're still young, oh. And my dear, you cannot raise boys alone. They need a father figure if you want them to turn out responsible in life. What if you fall sick tomorrow? Who will help you? Afia, you need a man to help you guide these boys. If not, they will grow wild. They will grow wild. You need to remarry, some of her friends said to her. Initially, Afia refused. She did not want to marry again. Kwame was the love of her life, and she could not bring herself to love any other man. But after some years of being alone and seeing how her boys were growing fast and asking questions that she could not answer, she finally agreed to give love a chance again. So one of her friends introduced her to a man named Yo. Yo was calm, he was gentle, he was respectful, and he worked as a civil servant in Cape Coast and had never been married before. He was in his late 40s and Afia liked him. He made her laugh again. He never pressured her, but he made something clear from the beginning. He looked at Afia and said, yes, I do not mind being a father figure to your sons, but I just want you to know that I will not be responsible for your children's feeding or school fees. As you can see, I'm not rich, so I don't want us to fight over money later. And you say I'm not providing for your sons, I will not provide for them. Yes, so I will cater for our own children when we decide to have them. But you see your sons from your previous marriage, you are solely responsible for them financially. Yo said to Afia, and Afia agreed. It's fine, she said. And so they both got married, and she moved to Cape Coast with her boys to live with her new husband. But she never told her new husband about the assets that her late husband had left and about how much money that she was sitting on and holding in trust for her sons. Because of course to her, those things belonged to her late husband and her sons. And so for a while in her new marriage, everything was fine, everything was peaceful. Afia and her two sons settled into their new life in Cape Coast very well. And Yo, their new stepfather, actually tried his best. He never shouted at them. He helped them with their homework when he could. He gave them advice like an uncle. And whenever they made any mistakes, he corrected them with patience. He did not spoil them either, but he did not try to overplay the role of a father. But he was kind to them, and Afia appreciated him for that. She actually respected his honesty from the beginning, when he told her that he would not take care of the boys financially. And truly, he kept to his word. But Yo treated them fairly. They ate together and lived peacefully as one big family. Then, after 1 year of marriage, Afia gave birth to a baby boy and they named him Kojo. And 2 years later, she had another son whom they named Yo Jr. So Afia's family now had 4 boys. Their home was warm, it was peaceful, and all the children played together. There was laughter, birthdays, school runs, Sunday rice, and weekend cartoons. Everything was fine. But through all these things, Afia never disclosed anything about her late husband's properties to her new husband, and she never touched her late husband's properties. All the monies that was coming from the assets, she just kept on reinvesting them and reinvesting them. So the money kept on growing and growing into millions. Every land, every house, every shop, every account her late husband left behind was still in her name as trustee for Kobe and Kwesi. And the funny thing is that Yo never asked. He never knew who the late husband was, so did not know how much he had. And Afia never brought it up. To her, it was simple. Those things are for my late husband's children. So she even opened a locked cabinet in their bedroom where she kept all the important documents, land titles, savings books, keys to houses in Kumasi and Kwahu, and even a USB stick that had scanned copies of everything. But then, secrets do not always stay secret. And so one day, Yo found out. One day, Yo was searching for his tax documents and had scattered the whole wardrobe, turned the whole place upside down, and then finally decided to check inside the cabinet that Afia always kept locked. He had never gone there before, he had never touched it before. In fact, he had never asked what was inside. But that day, because he was looking for his tax documents, he decided to go check that place. And Afia, on the other hand, was out shopping with the children. She had forgotten to lock the cabinet after sorting some documents the night before. So when Yo opened it, it actually opened because it was not locked. At first, he just saw envelopes. But when he looked closer, he saw land documents, then bank statements, then property titles. One for a house in Kumasi, another in Kwahu, another in Takoradi. Everything had Kwame Mensah's name on it. Some had Afia's name listed as the next of kin, and some had the boys' names as beneficiaries. Yo just sat on the floor. He was sweating. So he took out the USB stick and plugged it into his laptop. And what he saw shocked him even further. There were scanned documents for buildings in Kumasi, for 3 plots of land in Aburi, for 1 guest house in Takoradi, a transport company, 2 savings accounts with over 2 million CDs, a trust account in the boys' names with future inheritance instructions, and the rest of it. Yo could not believe his eyes. So my wife has been sitting on millions and she never told me. He sat there for almost 2 hours. And by the time Afia came back with the kids, he was sitting on the sofa in the parlor. His eyes were red. Are you okay, my love? Afia asked, looking surprised. But Yo did not answer. He was too upset to say a word. But later that night, after dinner, he finally spoke up. He looked at his wife and said, Afia, so you did not think it is important to tell me the kind of money that you're sitting on, the kind of money that you're controlling? Yo said. And Afia froze. She knew exactly what he was talking about. But then she replied calmly and said, My dear, those things belong to my late husband, and I'm only keeping them safe for Kobe and Kwesi, and I'll hand it over to them when it is time. Afia replied, Safe? Safe from who? From your husband? From me? Yo asked. And Afia replied and said, I'm sorry, my dear, but I don't joke with inheritance. Their father worked too hard for it. He died building that legacy. So I swore that I would protect it. Afia replied, Oh, really? So I'm just a stranger in this house, Abi? Yo asked angrily. No, you're not a stranger, but you're also not their father. Afia replied calmly. Yo was so angry and went to bed boiling in anger. And that night, he did not touch her. He did not even talk to her. He just faced the wall and slept like a stone. And so, from that night onward, everything in their once peaceful and loving home changed. Yo stopped smiling the way he used to. He even started keeping malice with her and his stepsons. He also stopped eating her food. She would even cook his favorite okra soup with banku, and he would not even taste it. He stopped touching her too. For weeks, he wouldn't go near her at night. He would lie down, face the other side of the bed, and pretend to be snoring, even when she tried to touch his back. Sometimes she would ask, Yo, have I offended you? What did I do that's so wrong now? Afia would say. Then he would reply and say, What is the point? You have already made your choice. You have chosen to be loyal to a dead man than to me, your husband. Yo would reply. Afia was sad, and she knew where all this was coming from, but she was not sorry. She had sworn to protect her late husband's hard work, and that was what she was going to do. Then one day, out of the blues, Yo called her and sat her down and said, My love, my sweetheart, I need to do something very important, and I need just 300,000 cedis. He said sternly. But Afia looked at him and said, Of course I don't have that kind of money. Why would you even ask me for that kind of money? Afia replied. Then Yo replied sulking and said, You have the money. You have so much money. Just collect it from your dead husband's money. Is that too much to ask? Yo said. But Afia simply replied and said, Yo, I have told you times without number that I cannot touch that money. That money is for my sons. Their father worked for it, not me. Afia said. But Yo replied angrily and said, But you are my wife. We are one. You're supposed to submit to me. And submission includes giving me your money. Yo said. But Afia simply just stared at him and said, My dear, yes, I am your wife. But I am also a mother and a promise keeper. I promise to protect their inheritance and I'm not breaking it. So Yo stood up, wiped his face, and quietly left the house. So after a few weeks, he changed his tactics. He started to emotionally blackmail her. He would sit in the parlor and sigh loudly and say things like, Some women are just wicked. They do not want their husband to succeed. They do not want to support their husbands. How you know a true woman is a woman that stands and supports her man in every way, Yo would say. And after that, he even started pretending to be sick. And when Afia would ask, What is wrong with you, Yo? He would reply and say, Nothing, no, nothing. It's just that my wife does not trust me, Yo would say. And sometimes he would stay up late at night, sitting in the dark parlor and waiting for her to come and beg him. But Afia was not going to apologize. She had nothing to apologize for. So one morning again, he came out to her and said, Afia, Afia, you are my wife. And you and I know that you are keeping a whole lot of wealth that can change my life for good. Why are you allowing another man's ghost to control our marriage? How can you be loyal to a dead man than to your living husband? Yo said to her. But she just simply replied and said, I have told you before, and I will say it again. That money and those properties are for Kwame's sons, my late husband's sons. Their father worked hard for it, and I'm just protecting it to hand it over to them as soon as they turn adults. Afia replied, but Yo snapped at her and said, But you are my wife now. Are we no longer one? Are you not a Christian? Are you not supposed to submit to me financially? Are you not supposed to submit to me? Give me everything that belongs to you. Am I not the head of this house? Am I not meant to control everything for the good of everybody? Yo asked. But Afia replied again and said, Like I said before, we are husband and wife, but it does not give you automatic access to my children's inheritance. Afia replied. And a few weeks later, Afia had started hearing some rumors from outside. One day, her neighbor's wife even came to her and said, Afia, Your husband said that you're holding a lot of money and yet refusing to help fund his dreams, that you want him to suffer. Is it true? The neighbor said, but Afia did not respond. Then one Sunday evening, Yo's mother came to visit. She entered the house with her wrapper tied tightly, like she came for World War III. My daughter, she started sweetly. Yo is my only son. He's not asking you for too much. Just help him like a good wife will. All the money that you're keeping, does it have to rot before your eyes? Eh? Yo's mother asked. But Afia remained calm and respectful and just said, Mama, that money is not mine. It belongs to my late husband's son. What is so difficult to understand? Afia said. Then Yo's mother stood up in anger. What kind of woman are you? I wonder what kind of women this generation is raising. In my own time, we submitted our salaries to our husbands. You don't know that as far as your husband paid your bride price in full, that all that you have now belong to him, even your late husband's properties. Or is it because my son is asking nicely? Eh? You don't know that you should be grateful that my son agreed to marry a second-hand, fairly used property like you, a widow, and you're here speaking English, speaking grammar. See, I give you just 1 week to make sure you hand over everything to my son. If not, I will deal with you. I will make your life miserable. Yo's mother said, and then stormed out angrily. Afia sat alone and wept silently that night. But she remained resolute. She was not going to hand over her late husband's properties to her new husband. So when Yo saw that all that he was doing did not affect his wife, he began to poison his 2 sons against their mom, saying things like, your mom does not love us the same way she loves Kobe and Kwesi. She hides good things from this family. She has money, but she prefers to let us suffer. Other times, he would turn to his sons and say, if only your mother supported me like a real wife, you people will be living in a big mansion by now. You both have your separate rooms, you would even have your separate cars. Yo would say to his sons. And yes, although the little boys did not fully understand, but they were listening and their minds were being poisoned one day after the other. And whenever Afia corrected them, because they had done something wrong, they would run to their father crying, and he would whisper to them and say, you see, your mom does not like you. Your mom does not like you the same way she likes Kobe and Kwesi. She's partial. Yo would say to his sons. And one day, Kobe could not take it any longer. He confronted him and said, Uncle Yo, please stop filling our brothers' heads with lies. Our father built that wealth for us, not for you. So why not focus on building wealth for your own sons? Why do you want to steal my father's wealth? Kobe said angrily, and Yo looked at him in surprise. Oh, so this is how you talk to your stepfather, Abi? When I picked you up from nothing, I became a father figure to you. I was there for you, and now this is how you talk to me? Yo replied angrily at him. Then Kwesi stood beside his brother and said, you are our mother's husband, and yes, we are grateful for all that you have done. But you're not our father, and we are not children. We can see what is going on here. How do you expect my mother to hand over our inheritance to you? Why are you too focused on our inheritance rather than building inheritance for your own children? Kwesi replied, and Yo just stared at them, but said nothing. But from that day, he began to avoid them. He focused only on Kojo and Yo and continued to poison their minds and feed them with false narratives. Then one evening, Afia came back home from the market and saw that Yo had vanished with her 2 younger sons. No note, no call, nothing, just empty beds and missing clothes. She was so scared, and then Kobe ran to the neighbors asking if they saw anything. Then one gateman told him that he had seen their daddy living with his 2 younger brothers in a taxi, as though they were traveling. Afia sat in the parlor and broke down in tears. Meanwhile, Yor took Kojo and Yor Jr. to a quiet lodge in Kumasi, using a fake name to check in. He switched off his phone and he told the boys, "Your mother does not care about us. She's planning to abandon you two and leave everything for her first sons. That's why I brought you here, to protect you." And although Kojo was only 7 years old, he nodded in confusion. Yor Jr., who was younger, did not even understand what his father was saying. He was just happy to drink malt and eat meat pie in the hotel room. They did not know the truth. Meanwhile, back at home, Kobe and Kwesi stood by their mother like soldiers. "Mommy, don't worry, we will find them," Kobe said. Then Kwesi added, "Even if we need to search the whole of Ghana, we will find our brothers," they both said to their mother. But Afia already knew what to do. She called lawyer Kojo, her late husband's cousin and legal advisor, and she explained everything to him. So he came immediately and filed report with Social Welfare, Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, and the Ghana Police Service Child Protection Unit. And within 48 hours, a nationwide child abduction alert was raised. Meanwhile, in Kumasi, Yor was relaxed, thinking that he had won, thinking that now Afia would be forced to release her late husband's properties to him. But he was shocked when officers showed up at the guest house where he was hiding. "Mr. Yor, you are under arrest for illegal detainment of minors and attempted manipulation
Many years
of trust
ago,
assets,"
in the
one
beautiful
officer
city
said.
of Lagos,
Yor stammered,
there
"No,
lived a young
no,
lady
that's not what
whose
happened.
name was
I was only
Linda.
protecting my son too.
Linda had
that
just
was not
finished
happened."
university with a
Yor
second-class
stammered in
upper
confusion.
in mass communication.
"Mr. Man,
And she was so proud
you
of
have the right
herself
to remain
and believed
silent,
that since she had
because whatever
graduated
you
with a
say
2-1,
will be used
that
against you
jobs would be
in the court
lined up
of law."
for her,
And
that
so they
companies would be
arrested Yor,
begging her
and the
to
children
work
were
with them.
gently taken back
She
to
had
their
planned
mother.
out her life so
When Afia
perfectly
saw Kojo
that
and
she would
Yor
get her
Jr.,
first job
she
and
broke
start
down
earning
crying and hugged them
250,000
tightly.
naira every
"Oh, my
month.
babies, I
Then
thought
would now
I
buy a
lost
small
you.
car like
Thank
6
you,
months
thank
after she had
you,"
started working,
Afia
and then she
said,
would get
crying.
married 2 years
Then
later.
Kojo looked at his mom and said,
But if only Linda
"Mommy,
knew
I'm
that
glad to
all
see
those
you too.
things
We
were
missed
merely
you."
fantasies.
And then Afia kissed his
So
forehead.
after her
He
NYSC,
was just happy to
Linda
have her
stayed up
sons
in Lagos
back
and
in her
started
arms.
looking for a job.
Yor, on the other
She
hand,
would
was
print her
blacklisted.
CVs and move
His
from
face
one
appeared
office
in
to the
all the
other.
local
She
papers.
entered all sorts
People
of job
rumored
sites.
about
She
him
joined
and
Telegram
whispered
groups. There
about
was
him when they
nothing
saw
that she
him.
did not do.
His
She
family
was always
came
sending
running
out
and begging
messages to
Afia to
hiring
forgive
managers
him.
and
But she
CEOs
made
on
her
LinkedIn
decision.
and
She
other
filed for
sites.
divorce and got
Yet
sole
nothing
custody
was
of her
happening.
children.
Nobody
Then she left Cape
was
Coast
offering
and
her a
returned to
job.
Kwahu. And
Linda
this time she
always
did not
attended
look
one
back.
interview or the
And
other.
back in Kwahu,
Yet
life
nothing.
returned to normal.
And she was quickly
Within
running
1
out
year,
of
her
money.
bakery business was up
Meanwhile,
and running
all her
and
friends were
booming.
already posting
And a few years
pictures of
later, Kobe and
enjoyment on
Kwesi
Instagram,
entered
as in soft
university
life
to study
pictures,
business
new hair,
administration
new
and law.
clothes, trips to
And all
Dubai
their
and
bills were
Maldives
paid
and
from
all
their
that.
late father's money.
But Linda knew what her
Kojo
friends
and
were
Yor
really
Jr., on the
doing.
other hand,
Most of
even
them
loved
had
their
a
mother
very
even more.
effective side hustle. They
Meanwhile,
were
her
exchanging their
ex-husband
bodies
Yor
for
was
money.
not finding life
And
easy
some
at
of them
home in
even had
Cape
the
Town.
boldness to encourage her
Because
to
after
join
that
them, saying,
scandal, no woman
Linda,
wanted to be near him.
Linda,
His
use your
colleagues
sense.
had
So
even stopped inviting
Lagos no
him
be
to
for
their events.
mumu. Why are you
And he
wasting
lost
all
his
this
job due
beauty
to
and
reputation
forming holy
issues.
girl, holy
He
girl?
was spotted
You had
roaming
better
the
use
streets of
what you
Cape
have
Town,
to get what
standing
you
in front
want.
of a lotto
Trust
kiosk
me,
with a torn
if you
newspaper
meet
and
the
old
right man
slippers.
and
He
satisfy
was
him
not
well,
doing
he
anything
will
with
not
his
only
life.
give you a job, he
Then
will
one
spoil
beautiful
you sleep.
afternoon, Afia
Her
stood in
friend
front of her
Aisha
newly renovated
said to
home
her,
in Kwahu,
Belinda would
and her
simply
two
reply
older
and say,
sons,
I beg
Kobe
you,
and
I beg
Kwesi,
you.
who
That's
were
not the
now
kind of
men,
life that me I
walked
want.
up to her
There
with a
is
big envelope
dignity
and
in
said,
labor.
"Mom,
And you guys had
do you
better
remember
change
Daddy's
before
land in
one
Aburi?
day you contact one
Well,
illness that
we
has
sold
no
a
cure.
portion for
Stop
development.
sleeping with random
Lawyer
men for
Kojo
money.
helped
Are you
us
not even
secure it.
afraid?
And this
Are
is
you
your
not
share.
afraid that the person that
We
is
have
sleeping with
decided
you are
that you
actually
must enjoy
sick in the
small.
head?
You have
Might
been
be a
saving and
psychopath.
saving
Might
all
wake
this
up in the
money
night
for
and
us.
kill you.
Mom, it's your time to
You are
enjoy and
taking
enjoy life.
unnecessary risk.
Whatever you want, wherever you
Linda
want to
replied.
go, we will pay for it.
And so things continued like
Kobe
this
and
for a
Kwesi
while
said.
for Linda.
Afia opened
And
the
Linda
envelope and saw
continued
the
to
check.
look for a job,
She
yet
was
none
so
was
shocked.
forthcoming.
Are you serious?
So one day
What?
she got
Oh
fed
my
up.
God.
One evening,
Afia
as she
said,
lay down on her bed,
"Yes, Mom.
she
You
just
deserve
stared up.
even
She was
much more."
thinking,
Thank you for
Since
being
it
our
is
shield.
difficult to get
Thank
a
you for
job like
standing
this,
by
are you
us
sure I should not
even
just
when
start
it
a
was hard.
business?
You gave
But
up your
then I don't
comfort
have
to
money.
protect our future.
How much will I? Okay,
You
if I
gave
say I
up
want
your
to start up a
husband just
restaurant,
for
don't I have
us.
to rent a
Now it's
place
our turn to
and all
take
of
care of
that?
you.
I don't
We
have
will
that
be
kind
your
of
husband.
money.
We will take care
I
of
need
you.
a
Just say
legit
what you need
business to
and you
do.
will have it.
A business that will not require
Her
so
son
much
said to
capital.
Afia.
Eh? So what do I do?
And then Afia began
Then
to
all of
cry.
a sudden, it
She
hit
was
her
so
like
happy.
a light bulb.
She was glad that at
Children.
the end it had paid
Yes.
off.
I
Her
can care
sons
for
never
them.
joked with
After all,
her,
I love
and they
children.
spoiled her silly.
Linda
They
said to
loved her
herself.
so much
She remembered
and
all the
spent the
working
rest of
class
their days
mothers on
taking
her
care of their
streets.
mother.
How every morning
Hi,
they'll be rushing to work,
besties. It's your
dragging crying
favorite
children behind them to keep them in a daycare
Omalicha.
or somewhere.
Thank you so much
Then
for
she
watching my
smiled
story
and
to
said,
the end. So I'd
if
like
I
to hear your
open a
thoughts on
small
this one.
daycare and after
So
school
first
care,
off,
I could make a
why
lot
is it
of
that
money.
people
Ah,
always say that a
At
woman
least if for
cannot
nothing,
raise
all the
sons?
women in this
That
my
raising
area
sons
will
demands
patronize
a
me.
male
I
figure
think I
in their
can do it.
lives. Like you
And
need
I
a
don't
male
even need
figure.
capital. Oh.
For
I
like
don't need to
Afia,
rent
for
anywhere.
example,
I'll use
people
my house.
pushed her into
They'll come
getting
to my
married
house.
again, even
Wow,
though
this
she
is
didn't
a
want to get
brilliant
married.
idea.
She wanted to
Thank you,
be
Lord.
married
Thank you,
because of her
Lord.
sons, because
Linda said
she
aloud
was
to
made to
herself.
believe that she could not
So
raise
the
her
next
sons
morning,
alone
Linda
because they
woke up
were guys and
excitedly
needed
and
male
took a
figure. So
cardboard
what
and
do you
marker
think?
and
Is
then
it
wrote on
possible
it,
for a single
Auntie
mother
Linda's
to raise
daycare
a
and
son, like
after
to
school
raise a
care,
responsible
ages 6 months to 10
adult, a
years,
young male
affordable,
adult? Is it
loving,
possible for a single
safe,
mother
no
to raise a
shouting?
responsible
Then she pasted
male
it on her
child?
gates.
That's one.
Then she
Then
sent it to her
secondly,
church WhatsApp group
what
with
do
the
you think
caption,
about Afia?
Mothers
If
of
you were in her
Lagos, help
shoes,
us,
would
come
you have
oh,
done what
come
she
and
did?
drop your
Like,
children
would
with
you have
me
allowed your
for a
new marriage? Because
small
her new
token,
marriage was actually
shikini
fine.
money,
Everything was
Linda
actually going
said.
on well. The man was
So
kind to
throughout
her
that night,
until he
Linda could not
discovered the
sleep.
money.
She was
So would you have
excited.
allowed,
She was
your
busy
new marriage
imagining
burn up
mothers
in
coming to
flames?
drop their children off
Like
at her
watch and allow
daycare
your two
and being
younger
paid
sons lose
plenty
their
money.
fathers,
Linda
all
was
because of your
happy.
late husband's
At
property?
least this was
Or
an
would you have
honest
found
work
a compromise
to make
and
an
maybe given
honest
him a
living.
percentage, maybe like
But what
30%,
Linda did not
just
know
to take care
was
of
that she
himself
had
and
no
just remove
idea
his eyes
what was
from
waiting in
your late
store for
husband's
her.
properties?
Then
Or
2
literally,
days
like,
after
what would you
Linda
have done? Or
pasted
do
her
you think that if you
signboard,
had given him
her
some money,
doorbell rang
he would have
around
kept on coming
6:45
for more?
a.m. She was not even
What would you
fully
have done
awake.
if you were in
She
Afia's
just
shoes?
opened the door
Please
and
share
saw
your
a
thoughts
woman
with me in the
holding a
comment
crying
section,
baby and a
and
small backpack.
please support your
Auntie Linda, good morning. Oh, should we have started daycare?
Malicha
I beg,
by subscribing
please
to my
help me.
channel, liking my
Hold my child for
videos,
me, I
and
beg.
sharing
I
with
will
your
come
loved
later. Come
ones.
collect them.
Are you about
The
to leave
woman
without
said.
subscribing?
And
Nope,
Linda replied
nope, nope, nope,
excitedly
nope.
and said,
Go
yes,
back
ma.
and please
Yes, ma.
hit the
I
subscribe
assure you,
button.
your
So
child
till
will
I
be
come your
well
way
taken care
again,
of.
more interesting
The woman looked
stories.
very relieved
Bye.
and then said, thank God. Thank God for you.
Many years ago,
My nanny
in
did
the
not show up
beautiful
today and
city
I have
of
meeting in the office.
Lagos,
Please
there
just help
lived
me
a
manage till
rich
5
man whose
p.m.
name
His
was
name is
Chief
Brian.
Innocent
There's milk in the
Okonkwo,
bag. He
who
likes
was fondly
cartoons
called
and
Chief
please, he
by
does not like people to
everyone.
shout at him. Oh.
Chief was not just
The
rich,
woman said.
he was
And before Linda
loaded.
could even respond,
Like he had
she
so
dropped the
much
bag,
money.
kissed her child
He
on
had
the forehead
houses,
and rushed
shops,
out.
trailers,
Linda
and
looked
even
at
a
the baby.
pure water factory.
Brian was still crying.
But despite all his
Then by
wealth,
9:15
there was
a.m.,
one
another
big
woman
problem.
came. Auntie Linda,
He was
good morning.
very
Please, this is my
stingy.
son David.
In
He's
fact,
3 years old.
if
He
his
can feed himself,
stinginess
but
was a
please help me
sickness,
monitor
it would
him.
be HIV
And please don't let
AIDS.
him climb anything.
Because
He
chief
likes to
stinginess
climb.
had no
Let me
cure
just drop
known
him
to
here. I
man.
have to go for market
He lived in
runs.
a
He's
very
not
big
feeling
house
fine,
with
so he
his
can't go
wife
to school.
and his
So
3
let him just
children,
stay with you.
Ife,
The
Junior,
woman
and
said,
Daisy.
as she dropped the boy,
You know, from
handed over
outside, the
one
house
red
looked
cooler
fine
filled
and
with
beautiful.
porridge and
But
disappeared.
inside,
Now Linda
it
had
was a
2
different
clients.
story entirely.
Things were looking
His
very
family
good,
was
and she was
always
so
hungry
happy.
and starving.
Business had
Chief
started.
literally measured
So she swung
everything in
into
the
action.
house.
She brought out
When Mama
cartoon,
Ife wanted
drew
to
smiling
cook
sons on
rice,
paper,
he would
and
bring out
stuck them
one
on the
small
wall.
cup
She
and
played
say,
cartoons on the
manage this one,
TV.
oh, you are eating
She
too much
sat
in
on the
this
rug
house.
with the
Chief
children
would say,
and smiled at them,
and each
saying,
time his wife,
"Hello,
Mama Ife,
Brian.
complained
Hello,
about
David.
it,
Welcome
welcome to
He
Auntie
would just
Linda's
simply tell
daycare.
her
You're about to have
that
the
man shall
best
not live
time
by
of your
bread
life
alone, but by
ever.
every word that
Linda
proceeds
said
out of the mouth
excitedly.
of God.
David just ignored her
This man
and ran straight to her
literally counted
bookshelf.
everything in the
Within 1
house.
minute, he had
Salt,
scattered all the
pepper,
books on the
gari,
bookshelf.
even palm oil.
Linda just stood there in
Everything was
disbelief.
measured.
David,
And his
so
children,
fast?
they
What are you
dared not
doing now?
ask
Just
for
arrange the whole
extra food.
book in the shelf.
Because of
Is this part
course,
of the
there
lesson
was
plan
no
for
extra
today?
food in the first place.
Linda asked, looking
His
upset.
children always
But
looked
David did not even
tired and
respond.
hungry.
He just kept
And he
on
never
jumping
saw
up and
anything
down
wrong with
and
it.
continued to play and scatter
Their
everywhere.
uniforms were literally faded,
Then 1 hour
and
later,
their
she
sandals were
tried to
torn,
feed Brian.
to the extent
And
that
she
the
thought
other
that by
children in
now
the
he
area
should be
used to laugh
hungry.
at them.
So
But
she
yet,
carried him
Chief was not bothered.
carefully, made sure he was
But the
facing the
worst
bowl,
part of
and
it
tried to
all
give
was
him
that
food.
even when they were
Then
sick,
just about 5
Chief did
spoons
not
in,
believe in
and Brian
taking
looked
his
at her
children
dead
to
in
the
the eye
hospital
and threw up on her
because he
face.
complained that the
He
hospitals were too
vomited the whole
expensive
food on her
and were
and now
ripping
started
people off.
laughing.
So if any of his children fell sick,
What have you done? Why
he
did you
would go
vomit on
outside
me?
himself to one of these
Linda
Yoruba women
screamed.
selling
Then
agbo
she quickly dropped
and
him on
tell
the
them
rug
how
and
his
ran
children
to her
were feeling.
bathroom to
And
go
they
clean
would pour out
herself
one
up.
or two concussions
But by
for
the
him.
time she was
And he
coming
would go
out,
back and
she
give
was
it to
shocked to
his
see
children.
David
And that was
dancing
it.
on the rug,
So
filled
whether
with
it was
porridge.
malaria, it was
David had
cough, or
opened his
it was
red cooler,
typhoid, or
poured
headache,
his porridge that he was
Chief would
supposed to eat for
always buy
lunch
agbo
on
for
her
his
rug
children
and was now
and mix it
making
with
a mess
small
of
gin
it.
and then tell them to drink
David,
it.
what are you doing?
Mama Ife was so tired.
Linda
She had
asked,
quarreled,
tears already
fought,
streaming down
and
her
even
eyes.
begged her husband to
But David
change.
just smiled and
Yes,
said,
nothing
jumping,
happened.
jumping.
But the
I
funny
am
thing now is
jumping.
that although
What
Chief
am
was
I
stingy
doing?
to his
I
family,
am
outside the
jumping.
house,
David
he liked
said
to show off.
nonchalantly.
He would always
And
dress
Linda just
nicely,
stood
spray
still. She did not know
expensive
what to do.
perfumes, and
She
would
just
go
took a
to
brush
church
and
on
soapy
Sunday,
water and
hold
started
the
cleaning.
mic, and donate huge sums
And by
of money
evening,
to
when the
God.
parents came to pick the
And
children, she
everyone
was so
would
happy
clap for him
that they
and
were
cheer
going home.
him.
She was tired.
But when the neighbors
But that
came to
night, she could
visit
not
him
sleep.
and see how
She
his
kept on
family
thinking
was
about
living,
David and
they would
Brian.
just shake
How
their
they had
heads
made the
in
day a
pity.
living hell for her.
Everything in that house
But she
was
just
literally
consoled
the same
herself that
story.
maybe tomorrow will
You
be
will never
better.
find
After
anything
all,
like
today was
rice
just
or
the
chicken.
first day.
If they were not
But the
drinking
next
dairy,
day,
then they were
her
swallowing
two
a band
students
soup.
resumed.
There was
And
nothing
a new
like
child
snacks,
came
fruits,
also.
apple,
So they were now three.
watermelon, or the rest.
This
It
new
was
child's
always
name was
Gary
Faith.
non-stop
She was
in
4 years
different
old,
forms.
quiet and polite.
Mama Ife
But as soon
was
as her
getting
mother left,
very frustrated.
as soon as
She
the
was
gate
sick and
closed,
tired of
Faith
it all.
started
For
screaming
crying out
and
loud, how
crying
could she be
as
living
though she was being
beside
chased
the
by a wild
ocean and
lion.
be thirsty?
She
Like,
cried
how could her husband be
from
so
8:30
wealthy,
till
yet
12
her children
p.m.
will be looking so hungry
Linda
and
tried
tattered?
everything to make her stop.
So Mama
She
Ife
put
got
on cartoon
tired
for
and began
her.
to pray
She
to
gave her
God to do
biscuits.
something
She
about
danced
her
for her.
situation,
She sang ABC
to
for
change her
her.
husband
Everything,
and
but
deliver him from
nothing
the
worked.
spirit of
Then
stinginess.
after a while,
So
David and
things
Brian
continued
also
like
joined
this for
Faith
a
in her
while.
crying spree.
Then one day,
By 1 p.m.,
something
Linda
happened
was
to Chief
tired.
that
She
changed
just sat on her rug,
everything
her eyes
forever.
wide open. Her hair was
It was a
scattered.
Thursday
She was looking
morning,
like a mad
and Chief
person.
Okonkwo was in a bad mood.
Is this what teachers
His
face?
driver
people?
did not show up
Is
for
this what
work,
they
and he
do
gave
every
one
day?
flimsy excuse.
This one is just
So he
three
had to
children.
drive himself
So
to go and
teachers that
collect
handle like
rent
21,
from one of his
22
tenants that were
students in a
owing
class,
him.
how do they
And
cope?
on
How
his
do
way
they not
over
run
there,
mental? I'm having
just at the
headache.
main
These
junction,
children want to kill me
he
before
met
my
a
time. How
police
much are their
checkpoint,
parents even
and
paying
one
me
officer
for all this
flagged him
headache?
down.
Eh? What
Good
is
morning,
this now?
sir. May I see your
This one will
driver's
not stop
license?
crying. This one will
The
be
officer
scattering my house.
asked.
Now my house is
But Chief
smelling
was so
urine.
upset.
What is this
Do you
now?
know who I am? How can you be asking me
Linda
that kind of
said.
stupid question?
And so she just managed for the day.
Chief responded
And in the
angrily.
evening, the parents
The
came to
officer
pick
just
their
smiled
kids.
calmly and said,
Linda
"Sir,
smiled and
I know
pretended
who
like
you are,
everything
but it's
was
just a
perfect.
routine check. Please let me see your
Because
driver's
even though she was
license."
complaining that the
The
children were
officer
stressing her
replied.
and giving her headache,
And then Chief
she
opened
loved
his
the
glove
fact that she was
compartment
getting money.
and brought out an
The
expired
parents were
driver's
paying
license.
3-5 each per
Ah,
child.
sir, this one
So
is
she was making
expired
about
now.
10
You need to
5
renew your
days.
driver's license.
She had
This
already
is clearly
calculated that if she
expired. You
does this
shouldn't
for
be
about
driving.
25 days,
The police
that is
officer
more than
responded.
250,000 naira
Chief
a month.
screamed,
So
"Are
the
you mad?
prospect made
Do
her
you know how much I
excited.
make in a day? What
And
is
by the
license
second week,
compared to my
Linda's
money?"
daycare had become popular.
Chief asked.
Because parents
But by
were
this
telling
time,
each
the
other
officer
about her, saying,
was getting
that girl
upset.
is
He did not
trying,
like
oh.
the tone
She has
Chief was
never
talking to
complained
him
about
with.
my child. Unlike
He
other
tried to
people,
talk
they'll
to
be
Chief
complaining,
and
madam, your
explain
child
to
is too
Chief
stubborn.
that he
Madam,
was
your child does
only
not
doing
listen.
his
Madam,
duty.
your child does not want
So
to
there
stay
was
one
no
place.
need
But
for
that girl,
insults.
she has no
But before he
complaint.
could finish explaining
Anytime I
all
come to
these
pick my
things to
child in
Chief,
the evening, my
Chief
child
gave
looks
him a
good,
death
my child
slap.
looks happy and well fed,
Chief
and she
literally
does not
slapped a
complain.
police
Your
officer
son is
right
stubborn.
in front of
Nothing of of such. She's really
while
patient.
still
And
screaming,
she's
"Do
managing
you know
those
who I
children
am? Do
even
you know who
without
I am?
shouting.
Do you know who I am?"
Parents said one to
But
another.
what Chief did not know
But what
was
they
that
did
the
not
officer
know,
he slapped
was
was
that even though
Inspector
Linda
Peter,
did not report to
a
them how their
nephew
children were
to the
frustrating
divisional
her
police
life,
officer.
she was having a
And
very
just
hard
like
time
that, Chief
just
entered one
managing
chance,
3 children.
because barely 2 hours
And because
later,
of how the parents
and
had
some
spread the
police vans
good news
landed at
about her
Chief's
daycare,
compound,
by
and they
Monday
arrested
morning,
him.
Linda had
Neighbors
4
gathered
extra
to
children
stare.
that had
And Mama Ife
enrolled
was
to her
screaming
daycare.
and crying.
So now she had
Please do not
7
arrest my
children in her
husband.
living room.
Please do not take the
7.
love of my life.
Some of them
Please
still
leave
wore
him
pampers, some
alone.
had no
She
teeth,
said,
some had too
pretending
many
to be
teeth.
crying.
Linda just
But
looked
as
at
soon
them
as the
and
police
whispered,
officers whisked her
Father,
husband
thank
away,
you for bringing
she
more
just
children.
stood there
But
with a big smile on her
Father, help
face.
me,
And then thanked the
Only
Lord
3
and
last
said,
week wanted to drive me
finally,
crazy. I don't know what this 7
at
will do to
least
me.
I will have a little break in
If
this
not for
house.
joblessness,
Thank
what
you.
business do I have in
Please,
running
you
a
should keep him
daycare?
as long as you
Eh?
wish.
If not for
She said
joblessness,
out
would I
loud.
be thinking of opening a daycare?
Then later
What
that
kind of
evening, her
country
friend Mama
is this?
Bose, who had heard what happened,
Nigeria,
came to
1,
visit
Linda,
her to
0,
show
no
support.
wahala.
But to her
Linda
surprise,
said aloud to
the person that
herself,
she came to sympathize
but
with
the
and show
whole day
support
was chaotic.
was busy
If
balancing
it
in their
was not
parlor,
Brian that was peeing on the
eating
rug,
chicken and
it
a
was
big
David
plate
that
of
was
jollof
jumping on
rice
her
with
remote.
her
And
children.
then Faith, that one, was in one side
Mama
crying
Ife,
non-stop.
what is
Like
going
she
on
was
here?
rehearsing for a
I
singing
thought I heard
competition.
that they arrested your
But
husband.
that was just the
And instead
beginning.
of you to be running
Because
around
around
looking for a way to
11:30
bail
a.m.
him,
that day,
you and your
Linda
children are
sat
here
down just for
enjoying your
5 minutes
lives.
to eat yam and
Mama
egg.
Bose said,
Just 5
looking very
minutes.
shocked.
But as
But
soon as
Mama
she
Ife
stepped
simply
away just for a
responded
few
nonchalantly and
seconds
said,
to go
I
get
beg
water,
ye, the
Fifi,
police should
the
keep him
smallest
as
girl
long
with
as
big eyes
possible.
and fast
He
legs,
should stay small
that
in
one
their
just
care.
carried her plate and
Please,
poured
my
the
dear,
food into
when
the
last
muffin
did myself
bucket.
or my children eat chicken?
Fifi!
Biko,
Linda
let us enjoy
screamed.
now that he's
But Fifi
locked
just
up.
busted out
He
into
should
laughter
stay there.
and ran
Let
away.
us be happy
Linda
and enjoy
sat
our
down. She
lives.
could not even cry.
Mama Ife
Her whole body
responded.
was vibrating.
So my besties,
Another day, when
so
all
that
7
was how
children were taking
it
a
was
nap,
the very first
Linda
night in
decided
a
to just
long
rest her
time
head just a
that
bit.
this
After
whole
all,
house
all the
ate
children were
chicken
sleeping.
and drank
Then she
coke
dozed off
or
with them
even
just
slept
for
with the
15
generator
minutes.
on.
But then,
That
when
night,
she
nobody
opened her
measured
eyes, lo
anything.
and behold,
They
one
ate
of the
their
children
food.
had found scissors
Meanwhile,
and
Chief, on
cut
the
her
other
wig.
hand, was busy
A wig
cooling
that
off
she
in
had
the
bought
cell.
for
He kept
700,000
on
naira
pacing up and down,
that she had saved
thinking
up for
about how his
several
family
months
might
to
be
pay for.
wasting his money,
Linda
his foodstuffs,
screamed
and eating
and then
anyhow at
broke down
home
in tears.
because he was not
Myri,
around.
oh God,
So
what
that was
kind of
how
life is this?
Chief
Why are these children
ended up
frustrating me?
sleeping in the cell that
What is
night,
this now?
while his
These
family
children want to
had a
kill me before
swell
my time.
time
What have
back
I
at
done
home.
to them? Is it
So
wrong
the
to open
next
a
morning in
daycare?
Chief's
Is it wrong
house,
to
things
start a
smelled
daycare?
differently. It was not
Hey,
smelling of burnt beans
Linda
or
said,
soup that has
crying.
stayed for more than 1 week.
And after she closed
Instead,
for
the
that
whole house
evening,
was
she
smelling
locked
of
herself in the
fried
bathroom
plantain
and
and
cried some
eggs,
more.
bacon,
But
and the
then she
rest of
remembered
it.
the money that she was
The
making and
children
what she
woke up
could make.
confused. Junior
And she
rubbed his
encouraged
eyes
herself,
and then whispered
because
to his sister Daisy
3,500
and said,
naira times 7
"Is
students
this our
was more than
house? As in all
21,000.
these aromas coming from our
21,000
house?"
times about 30
Junior
days was
said,
about
looking
600 and
confused.
something thousand.
I
Even
don't
people that
know.
had regular
I
jobs
don't
were
know.
not earning that much.
Daisy replied,
So she
equally
encouraged
looking
herself
as
and
confused as her
decided to
brother.
still,
Mama
continue with the
Ife was
daycare.
busy in the kitchen
So Linda
frying
continued
eggs,
with her daycare.
cooking a
But
sumptuous meal
Linda
like she was
started
cooking
losing
for
weight,
governors.
not from
The
gym,
fridge was
but
wide
from the
open.
stress.
There were juice of all
Her eyes
kinds
were
in the
always
fridge,
swollen. She had
butter,
eye bags.
Titus
She was
sardines,
just tired.
things that have never been
Then
in that
that
house for
Thursday,
many years.
She had
were
2
in the
new additional
fridge.
students, and they were twin
Come and
boys,
eat, my children.
Timileyin and
Mama
Tomiwa.
Ife called out
They didn't
happily
talk
to them.
much, but you see those boys,
They quickly rushed to the dining
they
table.
moved faster than
They
the speed
stared
of
at
light.
their food as though it
By
was a
afternoon,
miracle,
one of them had
as though
taken
it
her
was
phone
God that sent
and
manna
dipped
from
it inside
heaven.
the toilet.
Then Mama
The other one
Ife
used
told her
baby
daughter
powder
to go
and
get cold
scattered the whole
water.
parlor with it.
Mommy, cold
And when
water
she
here.
shouted at
But we
them,
don't drink
the
cold
2
water
children
in
would
this
just run
house
to
now.
themselves
Our
and give
fridge is
themselves
always
high
off,
five
so how
and then
can we
run
have
away.
cold water? She
They were looking
replied.
like 2 little
But her
demons.
mother simply stared at her and said,
That evening,
"My dear,
after the
the
close
fridge
of
is
school,
no
when
longer
their
a
mother came to
museum.
pick them,
The fridge is
she
no
just
longer a
laughed and
cupboard.
said,
I
I
put
hope
it on,
my
so there
twins
is
did
cold
not
water.
disturb you
Please
much.
go and get water."
And Linda,
Mama
still
Ife
pretending,
responded.
instead of her
And
to
so
tell
they
the mother
ate
that the
and
boy
they were
had spoiled her
happy.
phone and put her
They
phone
were
inside
merry.
toilet,
Mama Ife
she
was
just
happy
forced
to
a
see
smile
her
and then said,
children happy.
"No, they are good
Eat well, my
boys.
dears.
They
Add
didn't disturb
flesh.
me."
Your father is
But you
not
see,
here to
inside
count
her,
me
she was
today.
boiling.
Enjoy enjoy your life
And
before he
things
comes
continued
back.
like this for a
But
while.
my first said to them,
Linda's day
and that was
continued
not
to drive
all,
her
because
mad. The
after
children
breakfast,
continued to frustrate
they
her
all
life.
wore clean clothes and
But
followed
then,
Mama
by
Ife
the
to the
4th week,
market. She
Linda
bought
had
all
changed.
sorts of things for them.
She was not looking
For
like the same
once,
person that had
her
opened
children
Auntie
did not
Linda's
have to
daycare
walk
with
past
joy and
beautiful things,
excitement. Now
pretending
she
that
looked
they did
like
not
somebody
like
that
it
needed to go to
because
a
their
daycare
father
and be
did
taken
not
care
give
of.
them money.
Her eyes were
And
tired.
by afternoon,
Even
their
her
whole house
parlor
had
now had the
changed.
stench of
Everywhere
urine
was
and all
looking
of that.
different.
You know,
alive,
cartoon songs were
beautiful,
always playing in her
bubbling.
head. Even in her
Even the
dreams,
gate man
she'll be
Musa
hearing
was given a
baby
whole
shark
plate
doo
of
doo
rice with
doo
chicken
doo,
to
baby
eat.
shark doo doo.
Their
The thing
neighbors
was
could not
ringing
believe it.
constantly in
One of
her
them even said,
ear, in her head,
this woman did
in
not
her
waste any time.
dreams.
Oh. It's
She
like
was
she's happy
sick
that her
and tired
husband
of
is
it.
locked up.
All the
Because since
money
they
that she
arrested
was
that her
making,
husband,
she was
chief,
using it to
these
repair
people
one
have
thing
been
or the other.
enjoying their
If
life,
it was not her
playing loud
remote,
music.
she was repairing her
I'm
phone.
always
She was
perceiving
buying a new
different
wig that
dishes and
someone had
aroma
destroyed.
coming
She was
from their
always
house.
trying to replace
Wonders
things
shall
that the
never
children
end.
have destroyed
Then
with the
another
money she
chipped
made
in
from
and
them.
said, so this man
So
had
that
this
night,
kind of
she
money
sat down
and
and told
allowed
herself
his
the
family
truth.
to suffer.
Omo Linda,
Now
me, I
wow,
cannot do this.
now
So.
wow. This one is just a
I
clear
cannot
case
do
of
this
some
again. I
have
don't want to
food
teach.
but cannot
What
eat.
kind of life
Some
is
can
this now?
eat but have no
I
food.
have lost
This one
more
has
than I
food,
have
has
gained.
money. Yes,
All the
will not
little money I
spend on
have
his
made
family.
has
God
disappeared
forbid.
in fixing what these children
The
have
other
stopped.
neighbor
I don't know
said,
what kind of children
even
we are
Chief's only
having in
sister
this
came to greet Mama
generation.
Ife and
Pregnant
said,
care children.
my sister,
They are
if
too
you need
fast.
help
They are
with
too
spending
agile.
my
This is
brother's money,
destroying things.
please
Cannot
remember
sit their
me.
bottom
I'm available.
one
Oh.
place.
It's not only people that
Teachers
suffered
in
in the
schools
hands
are
of Chief.
trying,
Oh.
no.
We, his
But
siblings,
as
we
it
have
stands now,
suffered
it is better
in
that
the
I am
hands of my
jobless
brother.
and I
He
have
don't
my
used to see
peace
his
of
5
mind
naira.
than to be running
He
this
does not give
daycare.
us
If not, these
anything.
children
So
will run me
please,
mad.
remember me when you're
Linda
enjoying this
said
money. Oh.
defeatedly.
We all suffer
And so
together.
that
Oh.
night, she made up her
She
mind.
said.
She was
So
shutting down the
later that
daycare for
night,
good.
one of the
She
kids
was
stared at
tired.
Mama
She
Ife
wanted
and
her life to
said,
go back to what it was
Mommy,
before.
when are you going to build
So the
that?
next morning, she
He has
typed a
slept in
simple
the
message on
cell
her
for
phone that
one
read,
day already.
Dear parents,
Won't
thank
you
you
go
for
and bail
trusting me with
him?
your children
I'm sure the
these
cell is
past
not a
few weeks.
conducive place to
I
stay.
appreciate the opportunity.
But Mama Ife simply
However,
responded and
I
said,
regret to inform
okay.
you
No.
that Auntie Linda's daycare
Leave
will
your
be
father
closing
there.
down
Give him
at
like
the end
one
of
more
this
week
month.
so that we can
God
enjoy our
bless
lives.
you
All
and
this
your
enjoyment that you're
families.
enjoying.
Linda.
Eating chicken anyhow, buying new clothes,
Then she
and
sent it to all the
having new
parents.
stuff. Don't you like it?
One mother
Don't your
called
father
her
to come and
immediately.
scatter everything for us?
Why now? Auntie
No,
Linda,
it's God
my
that did
child
this one for
loves
us.
you.
Let us enjoy
She
it.
loves your daycare. Please, you
Mama
cannot
Ife
close down your
responded.
daycare. Oh.
So for the
Another
first
parent
time in a
texted,
long
is there
time,
any issue?
Mama Ife
Okay, we
slept
can
with
pay more,
both eyes
increase the
closed
money, we will
and
pay.
a full belly.
That
She
was how
was not
Linda kept
hungry.
on receiving
She didn't go
different
to bed
messages from her
hungry.
parents.
Meanwhile,
None of them
Chief was not
wanted
finding
her
it
to
easy in the
close down
prison.
her
Oh.
daycare.
By
But
the fourth
Linda
day in
was
Kirikiri,
tired.
Chief
Her
had
mind was made
calmed
up.
down.
She could not
He
continue
had
the
stopped
daycare if
shouting,
not she was going
do
to
you
lose
know
her
who I
sanity.
am? Do you know who I am?
So after
Now
a
it
few
was,
weeks, when she finally
Oga
closed
Warden,
up the
please,
daycare,
can I get pure water?
she just arranged the house,
As in,
put it in
prison
order,
life humbled him
cleaned
very
it properly,
fast.
removed all the
He
baby
was
things
no
that
more
were
looking for
right, left,
remote
and
to
center.
hide. No more
Then she
looking for
went and
fridge
bought
to lock.
suya and
He was
chilled
now
coke.
bathing with
She
cold
scattered
water,
herself on
using
the floor
brown soap, and
and
sharing
sat down to
toilets
enjoy
with
herself.
several other men.
In my
And by the
next life,
6th day,
I
he
can
managed to
never
make a
become a
call
teacher.
to his wife.
Teachers are trying.
Hello?
Like
Hello?
they stay with several
Mama
children
Ife,
all at once.
my beautiful
Yet
wife,
sometimes you see
the
parents
love of
talk
my
down
life.
at them anyhow.
Why am I still here?
Yes, they are not
Why
even
have you not
paid
come
well
to
on top
bail
of
me?
that. Some are even
He
paid
said
less than the
in his
minimum
begging
wage.
voice.
When I get married and
Yes,
start
my
having kids of
love.
my
Chief, good
I will
afternoon.
pamper
No.
my children's teachers.
Mama Ife
I
replied
will gift them.
nonchalantly.
There is nothing I will not
My
do for
love,
them.
my
Because
sugar,
it is not
how are
easy.
the children?
It is not
You have
easy.
still not answered me my
Even
question.
if there is no job in this
Why
world,
am I
I
still
will
here?
never teach.
I was expecting
Teaching
that
is
by
not for
now
everybody.
you would have come and bailed
Definitely
me.
not for me.
Where are you? What is
Linda said
happening?
aloud to herself.
Chief asked.
And so that day,
But Mama
Linda
Ife
officially
simply
retired
responded and said,
from the daycare
we are all
business.
fine. No, the children are fine.
But
Everyone
Linda
is
learned
fine.
one thing from that
Then
experience.
Chief responded
that
and said,
teachers are
okay, thank
superhuman.
God.
And so the
but
following day,
when are you
she
coming?
packed her bag
When are you coming
and
to
moved
bail
back to
me?
her
Please,
father's
when are
house.
you coming?
She was tired of being
Chief
a
asked
strong,
again,
independent woman,
desperately.
trying to make it
But
out
Mama
on her
Ife
own.
simply responded and said,
She decided she was going to go and stay at home
I
as
cannot
long
hear
as
you.
possible
The
until she
network
lands
is
a
bad.
job.
Hello?
She was not going to put herself
What did you
under any
say? I
undue
cannot
pressure
hear you.
or go and
The
start
network is
exchanging her
bad.
body for money
And that was how
just
Mama
so she
Ife
could make
cut
ends
the call.
meet.
She pretended
Hi,
as though there were
besties.
network
It's your
interruptions. Meanwhile, it was was a lie.
storyteller.
She had no plans of going to bail Chief.
Thank you
She
so
wanted Chief
much
to
for
learn
watching my
his
story
lesson.
to the
So she
end.
pretended
So there are
that the
several
network
lessons
was
to
bad
learn from
and
this
could
story.
not
So
hear
for
Chief.
me, I would say that
But the following day, Chief called
teaching
again.
is not easy.
But
It is
my
not
Ife,
easy. Imagine staying
what
with your
is it
children
now?
from
Why
morning
won't
to
you come
afternoon.
and bail
You keep
me?
on hearing
Please
mommy,
come and
mommy,
bail
mommy,
me.
and it's getting you
Chief
mad,
said,
like you're
almost
going
crying.
crazy. So
Then
I
Mama
think
Ife
this is
told
like
him the
more or
truth
less a wake up
and
call
replied
that
him saying,
we as parents or even
Chief, let me be
aunties,
honest with
whatever,
you.
Me
We
and the
should try and
children, since we
encourage
went to
our
this prison,
children's
Abi, this
teachers.
cell, we have been
Try and give
enjoying
the
our
yes, even
lives.
though they are being
We have
paid
been
salary. But
living well,
it is
living
not easy.
happily. And
Show
your
them
coming
love.
back will
Show
interrupt all
your
these things.
children's
So
teachers love.
I'm not sure I
Show
want to
them
bail
love.
you
Dash
right
them
now.
money
Me,
from
I'm
time
tired
to
of someone
time.
telling me to
Be
measure
kind
rice or
with your
measure
words
Gary.
to them. You know, sometimes
So
I see people the way
I
they
don't
talk
know.
down on
I don't
teachers
know.
because they think
Mama
that they're
Ife
earning maybe
responded.
a little amount of money.
The chief
And so
replied and
what?
said, my
These are
dear, I
people that you
promise you,
entrust your
Achalugo,
children's
I
life
swear,
and safety
if I
to.
come back, I will change.
So the least you
I will
can
give
do
you
to
meat
them is
regularly.
to
In
be
short, I
kind
will
with your
never enter
words.
your
Be
kitchen again.
respectful.
Anything you want
And
to
from
do,
time
do
to
with the
time,
kitchen.
care for
Anything you
them.
want to buy
Care for
with my
them
money. I
genuinely,
don't
so
care.
that they can also care
Please
for
just
your
come
children
and bail me.
genuinely
Because,
beyond the
hell,
teaching and all
Chief
of that.
said.
So I'd like to hear your
Then
thoughts
Mama
on this
Ife
one. What do
smiled
you think
softly
about teachers?
and then said,
And this is
okay,
me
fine,
just
I will come.
giving a shout
But
out
give
to
it
all
one
the
more week.
teachers
Let
out
us
there.
enjoy
You guys are
ourselves.
doing an
Let us
amazing
rest
job,
more
an
from all your plenty
amazing job,
wahala.
and we love
Then she
it.
hung up.
And
She
also,
stared at the phone. In
also to
shock.
my viewers,
1 week.
subscribers, everyone
This
listening
woman
right
wants to
now.
keep me here for
If
1 full week.
they offered
Hey,
you like 3-5
this
million
woman
naira
is
to teach children within the ages of 0 to 5,
Bolam,
like would you
1
accept
full
it?
week.
Can you teach?
Hey.
Can you teach children?
Chief
You think you
lamented
can
aloud
manage to
to
teach
himself.
children? As for me,
Throughout that
it's a
day,
big no.
he
I
was
cannot teach
lost in
children.
deep thoughts.
I don't have the patience, and I
This
don't think
woman will finish
everybody
my
is wired
money
to
in
teach
1
children.
week. 1
But of
full
course,
week.
I'd like to hear your
Will I be
thoughts
able
on
to
this one.
recover from the
Please
money
share
she
them
will
with me in
spend
the
in
comment
1 week?
section.
Hi.
And please
Ew.
support your
Ew.
girl.
Chief,
Malicha.
see what you
By
have been
subscribing
reduced
to my
to.
channel, liking
He
my
said aloud to
videos,
himself.
and sharing with your loved ones.
Meanwhile, back
So
at
now,
home,
till I
Mama
come your
Ife
way
was in the
again,
living
more
room
interesting stories.
watching Telemundo and sipping chilled zobo. She had even changed their chair arrangement. She had ordered new plastic chairs for the compound. Guests were coming in and out to visit, eat, drink. Life was sweet. Even her children were doing better in school now. They now took lunch to school, they wore clean clothes, and their school fees were paid on time. The youngest, Adaeze, even told her friend, I like it better when daddy is in prison. Mommy is always happy. We always eat well. Daddy should not come back home, Adaeze said. Mama Ife heard it and pretended to be upset. Oh, come on, shut up. Don't say that again about your father, she warned. Then she turned to her friend and said, but it is true. Me, I like it better when my husband is not around. If he can be gone forever, safe, to be better for us, she said in whispers. Meanwhile, Chief kept on calling every second he was calling. And each time he called, he would cry, please now, come and bail me. I can't stay here for 1 week, Chief would say. But Mama Ife was not ready. She was not in a hurry to go back to their life of misery. She and her children continued to enjoy their life to the fullest. They were happy, looking healthier and more robust than when their father was with them. But 1 week later, and Mama Ife had a change of mind and went to bail her husband from the police station. When Chief came back home, he was very shocked at how things had changed very quickly in his home. He was shocked to see the big chicken that his children were eating. He was boiling inside, but tried to control himself. So he decided that he was going to return things to how they used to be. So one morning, he entered the kitchen and saw Mama Ife cooking white rice. Then he asked her and said, how many cups of rice is that? Is that not too much? Have you forgotten that you're supposed to measure the rice you put on fire? He said to her. But Mama Ife did not even turn. Instead, she just pointed at the pot of stew and said, my dear, have you seen the goat meat and chicken boiling inside the stew? It is for us, so we are going to eat it. And I bought it with your money, in case you are not aware. Mama Ife said. Chief blinked twice. What did you just say? What did you just say? Then she replied him and said, my dear, things have changed in this house. And you see that era of suffering, it is gone. It is long gone. If you want to suffer, no wahala. But you see, I and my children, we will enjoy the good life. Oh. And if you ever try that your measuring madness again, I will personally take you back to the police station, kneel down, and beg them to keep you there for 3 whole months. In fact, they will handcuff you so that people will see the real you. Are you not ashamed of yourself? When you were away, your family was looking healthier, happier. Nobody missed you. Nobody wanted you around. Is that not enough reason to think about your life? For crying out loud, what is the essence of having money if your family cannot enjoy the money? Is that not madness? Is that not stupidity? Anyway, I have said my own. If you like, try nonsense with me this time. I will personally lock you up in the police cell and I will pay them to keep you there for 3 months. Mama Ife said. Chief was shocked. He just slowly turned and walked out of the kitchen. And later that week, he saw Junior drinking Fanta and even opening the fridge with confidence. He screamed angrily at him and said, "Who gave you the permission to open my fridge? What is wrong with you? Why is this house so lawless?" But his son Junior just turned and smiled and said, "Mommy said we can have whatever we want in this house." Junior replied boldly. Chief was stunned. Even Adaeze, his daughter, walked past him with biscuit in her hand and then said, "Daddy, do you want biscuits? You see now we have plenty biscuits, plenty to go round." Adaeze said. At this point, Chief was defeated. He just went outside to the balcony. He sat there thinking, and then he realized that truly what his wife said was true. His children and wife looked better off and even had a better life when he was locked away in prison. And then he realized that if he continued to treat his family high-handedly, that they would not like him, they would hate him, and would even pray for him to be away forever, for him to be dead. And he knew that the way that he was going, if he died by mistake, his family would not even mourn him. Instead, they would celebrate his death and thank God for killing him. So he decided that it was time to change. He could not keep on living like this. So that night, he woke his wife, Mama Ife, gently and apologized to her for how he treated them badly and promised to change. Mama Ife was so happy, and of course, she forgave him instantly. So the next day, he surprised everyone. He went and bought a brand new car for his wife. He bought new clothes for his children, even dashed his gate man 20,000 naira. He still went to his children's school and dashed their teachers money. Everyone was so happy. Chief had changed for good. Now there was more than enough to eat and drink. And peace and joy and happiness returned to his home for good. Chief realized something. He learned a lesson. That money is to be spent. And that money is not sweet if it does not make your life and that of your family better. And from that day on, they lived happily ever after. Hi, bestie. It's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. So if you were Mama Ife, like how long would you keep your husband locked in prison? Like, I think she kept her husband roughly for 3 weeks. Like, would you have kept him there for like 3 months, 4 months, 1 year, so that you and your children can enjoy your life? And I think I forgot to mention, this is actually a true life story. And also, what lessons did you learn from the story? For me, I learned that money is just a tool, and it should not be glorified and made into a god. And the essence of money is to make your life, that of your family, and people around you, make their life better. So if your money cannot do that, please keep your money to yourself. And one more thing, do you know anybody, like any uncle, auntie, and all that, that is stingy with money, even to their own selves? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and please support your home girl, Omalicha, by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories. Bye.